Buenos días, buenas tardes, y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. J Slater case, cap on backwards with a plain white background, except we don't have the plain white background. I will explain, but cap on backwards means it's that Monday section where we focus on someone in the accident group that has done something stupid, hypocritical, absurd, what have you. In the past, we've focused on Kaz Alice, who, if you remember, said it's all so important to respect a grieving mother, and yet 5 minutes later told poor Shaz that if Shaz were her mother, she would have killed herself. I mean, this is the most unfeeling group you can imagine. Last week it was Sugar Ape's turn. Remember, he's the one that said, yeah, probably, ha ha, Jay went to a sausage party up at the Airbnb with Ayub and Rocky. Sugar Ape, another one of those AG members that says, respect the grieving mother, do not offend the grieving mother, have total compliance with the wishes of the grieving mother. And yet, for the likes of Sugar Ape, and I guess all the AG, I haven't seen an outpouring of anger against Sugar Ape. They're all fine with a good joke about the sausage party. Yeah, because they believe that's a joke. Debbie, Warren, and Zach would really like that. So we've done Cazalis. I think we've mentioned Melissa on her fourth profile, I believe. We've mentioned Sugar Ape. Now, yesterday for the Sunday roast, I featured Jane Elliott, the gobshite, and we're focusing her again. So it's a back-to-back roasting, if you like. But I did want to focus particularly on what Elliot has put out this morning, some threats she's made, and just a reminder yet again of what kind of person we are dealing with in the case of Gobshite from Glasgow. So this post appeared just today. So this caught me off guard somewhat, but not for long. I did a little bit of looking into it because I can see my good self there. You can see the title yourself. It is from the Little English School in Gibraltar from many years ago. This is an old one. But the headline is, or the announcement is, calling all Spanish teachers. And it asks anyone that is qualified to teach Spanish to contact them at the Little English School as there is an opening. Now, to my mind, there's always an opening at the Little English School, so that's not news. But yeah, if we go through these people here, I can tell you who they are. The far end there, well, there's me. And then you move to Angie is next to me. She's still there teaching Spanish, I believe. The guy in the middle there is Joel. He left a long time ago. Joel was an English teacher. The lady with the hand puppet is Agnes, originally from Poland, but she's actually an English teacher. She's still there, I believe. And right at the end is Sol from Venezuela, who left a long time ago. So I don't know where Gobshite from Glasgow found this, but I can tell you it's from a long time ago because, as I said, two key members of staff there, no, three, wow, two. It depends because I moved from the classroom to virtual teaching, virtual classroom. But two of the five gone. Um, and you can tell this is from a while ago because ever since you've known me, I believe I've had the mustache and beard, but here clean shaven and very youthful looking, I must say. Obviously pre-COVID by the looks of it, or could have been during COVID, round about that time, I would say. Now, what is the significance of all this? Well, interesting because our legal scholar, our lawyer extraordinaire, Jane Gobshite, Janey 180, she has produced this, she says, as proof that I got sacked from teaching. I find that unbelievable because it's not proof at all. I mean, it's proof that Little English are asking for a Spanish teacher. This is no proof that the said Spanish teacher that they are looking for is to replace any of the team down here. In fact, I would suggest if it is in any way connected with any of the people down here, they wouldn't have put that person's photo there. I would have thought. But let's just read what Gobshite said today in her latest post. She said, then poof, he was sacked for his online behavior. Again, if he is me, that's not true. The only other he is that's there is Joel, and Joel was not sacked for his online behaviour, I can assure you. So not one of these five was sacked for any online behaviour. Um, it must be tough getting references for work after a sacking. I think it depends, Gobshite. I think it depends on the reason for the sacking. In some professions, being sacked doesn't mean it's difficult to find another job. I'll give you a simple example just to prove my point, Gobshite. In the world of football management, if you're sacked by a club, it's just a matter of time if you have a certain reputation at being hired by another club. That's just how it goes. In certain professions, Gobshite, there is a certain revolving door, people coming in, people leaving, but they do end up finding another post. And teaching, especially language teaching, is like that. So, no, this is absolute nonsense, Gobshite. It must be tough getting references for work after a sacking. There are plenty of people that will give you a good reference, and it depends on the nature of the sacking. A sacking can happen for any number of reasons. So you're not really on solid ground there. Then you say, I wonder if he now relies on Mrs. Smith as the breadwinner. Well, no, I don't rely on anyone, never really have. Mrs. Smith is a breadwinner, but I wouldn't say either one of us actually relies on the other. So at least you put a question mark there. You're asking the question, so I can answer it. And this is why, Gobshite, it would be much easier if we did a Zoom call or a live voice to voice, because it would save all this back and forth. You could just ask me the question on the spot and I could answer it. But I could also ask you any question on the spot, and I think you'd find it difficult to answer honestly, openly, and transparently. I think that's the problem here. You don't like the idea of doing a live debate with you because you're not really fast on your feet. And I will prove that a little later on. But for now, yeah, question. As far as breadwinning goes, both of us, I think, are breadwinners. Meanwhile, I've never been sacked from a job, this is Gobshite speaking, and I've never had to rely on someone else for money or state benefits either. Well done, Gobshite. You get a gold medal for that. I'm not sure what you're trying to prove there. I'm in the same boat as you. Yeah, never been sacked, never had to rely on someone, never had to rely on state benefits. We're in the same boat. If that's your point, that we have common ground here, we have a commonality, that's fine, but not sure why you'd want to stress that. We also have two legs, I believe. Well, maybe you have four. I'm not sure. Anyway, I was going to say we both have two legs. That's something we both have in common, but I'm now going to ditch that because I'm not sure it's true. Nothing to do with me, your sacking, in terms of reporting you. Not sure what you mean by that. Given that I haven't been sacked, and by the way, if anyone wants to check that, if you go to www.littleenglish.gi, yeah, the domain is GI for Gibraltar, littleenglish.gi, you'll find the website there, and you'll find I am, of course, still there because I'm still employed there. That makes perfect sense. But you do have to look under virtual classroom because the first page that you go to, I don't know if it's under contacts or staff or our team, something like that. I'm not actually there, but because I'm not actually there in the physical classroom in Gibraltar, but just for you to know, Gobshite, if you click on virtual classroom, there are three teachers there. I think Shan is one of them who joined after this lot. Miguel is one of them. Miguel also joined after this group of five were the original team, and myself. So it's very, very easy. If anyone wants to disprove what Gobshite is saying here, you can go there and it's very clear that I am still a staff member. Gobshite says you need to own your own online behavior, mate. I do own my own online behavior. I have no problem with my own online behavior. It has served me very, very well. And again, if ever you want to talk about this, Janey, more than willing, more than willing to do so. You only have to get in touch, and I would be more than happy to chat with you on any of these questions. But, if you go to Janey's YouTube channel and you see how many people have commented on this, there's one. There are 2 comments, but only 1 commenter. Now then, gold medal of the day goes to the person that can guess who that 1 commenter is on Janey's channel. Janey180 would indeed be the only commenter so far. But that is par for the course for the most unpopular person in the accident group and possibly in the world. Right, so I think we can dismiss that whole. There is some more evidence here. When you think about it, come on, let's use our noggin here a little bit. When you think about it, if this announcement for a Spanish teacher was in any way related to replacing me, then that announcement would have come when Gobshite and Co. would have kicked up a storm to the school about my online behaviour, which would have been when you all knew me, when I had the beard and the moustache. So logically, this announcement can't refer to that time. It can't be an advertisement for my job because there I am in that photo from a long time ago. Therefore, logically, without the beard and moustache, and that photo of me a long time ago, this announcement advertising for a Spanish teacher can't have been in relation to my post because it predates when the accident group all got in a huff and a puff and tried to get me replaced there. I don't know if that makes any kind of logical sense to you. I'm just saying this photo that dates from a long time before any complaints went in must and necessarily be apart from any announcement that came subsequent to that. Let's move on. Let us move on because we have some serious stuff to talk about here when we get into the nature of Gobshite's character. Gobshite has a tendency to be very, very threatening, and something very odd that she has done of late on her channel is to feature some of our group and some of our commenters, some of my followers, and she's playing some kind of stupid name game where she will not actually name the person, but she will just put their name out in pictorial form. And you might think, what's the point of that? Well, I think it's connected to the threat because, and I will post this later, Janey writing to Joanne, one of the few other remaining accident group loonies, she has said to Joanne, we do know actually who most of these trolls are. She is referring to the so-called foul play group trolls. We do know actually who most of these trolls are, hiding under fake names on YouTube and TikTok. As if the accident group have no fake names on YouTube and TikTok. But anyway, this is where the threat comes in. Janey says, if only I could tell you what's coming next for this lot. But, and it ends there. Now, I would take that as a threat. If someone says, if only I could tell you what's coming next for this lot, it doesn't sound positive. It does sound rather threatening. And to confirm that, Janey continues, it's gonna get even worse for you FPG trolls, believe me. That is threatening. Now, my point here is that if ever Janey180 threatens you with any kind of police action, solicitor's letter, reporting you to God knows who, just keep those words at hand. Keep them ready to present to anyone and say, this is the person that says it's gonna get even worse for you FBG trolls. Believe me. There you have it, I think. It is threatening language. And then when you post someone's name, even if it's in pictorial form, you are basically creating a list of those that you are threatening. I won't mention the names in our group that have been put out there, but you can check it out yourself. Certainly what I hope for, I can't speak for everyone, but certainly what I hope for, and I've been begging for this for so long, Janey180, is just get your solicitor to write to me if you have any complaint at all. at all, get your solicitor to write to me and I will happily reply. And I will start quoting page after page after page of what you have said in defense of me and my commenters and my followers, because I know, and you know, Janey, that you are on very, very thin ice if you even think of bringing any kind of legal action. But I want you to do it in my case. I really beg you to do it, because I just can't wait, chomping at the bit to give you the absolute, and your solicitor, the absolute runaround. I hope you're earning good money, Janey, at your new job. Your solicitor's bill, once your solicitor has had to wade through everything I have to say, will be up night and day dealing with my side of the argument. But please, please, Janey, get that solicitor's letter to me. Let us turn to Matthew Burlow. Now, I have been, if you remember, Matthew Burlow is the Glasgow lawyer, Jewish lawyer who resoundingly won that tribunal case that Jane Elliott, through the Scottish Law Society, brought against him. 4 complaints Elliott put forward, and all 4 were rejected, soundly rejected. Not only that, but the comments made at that tribunal about Janey were quite stunning. But I just want to quote it, and I will put a link to the whole tribunal finding. There's a whole official record of it, because you get this from Janey 180. You get this, well, you weren't there, the usual fabric. You weren't there. You don't know. I said this. This is what really happened. Got the transcript. I will put it out there so we can all read it word for word if we want to, if we need to, just as a reference. So we don't get any more of this, I've got the official transcript. It's out there and I'll post it. So, referring to Matthew Burlow, I'm now in touch with the guy, and I have been for a while, off and on. We do share some stuff. So, he can confirm exactly what I've said, that Janey's an absolute nutcase. She has no clue legally what she's on about. And she is very, very contradictory. We'll get to that in a second. But going back to that tribunal, the tribunal considered, and this is from the actual transcript, the tribunal considered the secondary complainer, that would be Gobshite, the secondary complainer, in giving her evidence was vague, rings a bell, evasive, rings a bell, contradicted herself, rings a bell, and lacked credibility. Boy, these tribunal guys, they really can sum people up, can't they? I couldn't have nailed that nail on the head even better. That's vague, evasive, contradicted herself, and lacked credibility. The respondent, this is Matthew Burlow, gave his evidence in a straightforward manner and made concessions where it was appropriate. Well, talk about 2 ends of the spectrum. Burlow did a class job of giving his side of the story. Elliott, on the other hand, was absolutely crap. Are we surprised? Not at all. But the section from the tribunal on social media accounts was really jaw-dropping. It said Elliott had been regularly banned from posting on the Glasgow Friends of Israel Facebook page and had used 9 different false profiles to rejoin after she'd been kicked out. So if any of you are out there saying, isn't it odd how so many of these foul play group accounts seem rather similar, they seem fake, they seem created by the same person? Well, we do have a track record here. Gobshite was so desperate to keep commenting, negatively of course, on the Glasgow Friends of Israel Facebook, that, 9 different false profiles to rejoin, having been kicked out. That says it all right there. You know what? I think I might do a part 3 at a later stage, but let's wrap that up for now. I do want to emphasize that anyone at all, accident group or otherwise, is more than welcome to come and challenge what I say face to face, voice to voice, live, unedited. And someone like Janey, that considers herself such a legal success story, 4-0 was the victory for Verlo, but someone like Janey that considers herself so successful in a legal setting should just accept that. I really don't understand what she's got to lose. She would surely make absolute mincemeat of me on the spot, quick on her feet. She would prove herself to be not vague. She would prove herself to be not evasive. She would prove herself to be not contradicting herself, and she would give herself credibility throughout. But why is it? Why is it that she just can't bring herself to do it? I would suggest it's because she knows she can't. If you know, you know. And instead, she has to make up this kind of lie right here. The only reason she does this is because she has nothing else to criticize about what I say. So she has to pretend somehow, someplace in my life, I failed by being sacked, which never happened. Refresher, at the time of all the accident group flooding the poor little English school with complaints about what I'd written online, because the owner of the school was about to give birth, heavily pregnant and very stressed, I said, let me just put it out there that we are parting company. And hopefully that announcement will stop the nastiness, the horror, the aggressive flood of emails that were coming through to this school just because certain people said that I'd said something that was terrible. And of course, we did part company. For one whole week, I didn't have a class with Little English. But shortly after that, as the storm subsided, I think it was Janey that said she was going to contact the Gibraltar Education Department. Nothing happened. They were fine. My record was good, and everything went back to normal. Now, because this is hard to accept for the likes of Thomas the Wanker and Janey, all they can do, because they can't challenge me voice to voice, they haven't got the balls. They just can't do it. So they keep picking up on nonsense like this and pretending to themselves that they have found a certain truth. All they're doing is lying to themselves over and over again. This is the quandary they find themselves in. And on a separate matter, you'll notice they keep telling each other to ignore me. Ignore Dumbo, ignore Dumbcant, ignore him, ignore him, ignore him. And yet, all we get is day after day, whole slews of commentary and pages and texts and announcements and posts, all about, not the Jay Slater case, that really is of no interest to them. It's attacking me and you. That's it. There is no argument or debate. They can't do it. So all they're left to do is make up stuff and threaten and then hide. I do kind of enjoy it. Jan is right about that. When we talked about this, and there was a wonderful question last night on Jan's Views Live, it was something about, do the accident group not get comprehension? Do they not comprehend things in life generally? And I said, yes. It's clear to me they don't. They're just awful at weighing up the evidence. They're just awful at assessing who people really are. They're just awful at assessing what words mean. They are really shite at it. And this is why you get time after time after time the likes of Sluggy just freewheeling with absolute nonsense. And then he has to turn to AI to make sense of it. But we can all tell it's not him writing. This is the only thing they can do. They can't actually state their case anymore. But I've waffled on long enough. I do enjoy my jousts, verbal jousts with these people. But for the remainder of this week, it is back to the hard work of assessing what is really going on in the Jay Slater case and the Brighton ladies. And John George case has reared its ugly head again due to, in the papers, what looks like a very nasty attack on Madison Allen. So lots for me to cover this week. But I've got to say, Sunday and today, Monday, I have enjoyed this. My message to Janey180, this, you know, Janey, is absolute bollocks. But what was said about you in the tribunal? 100% true and on the record. I'll leave the link to that in the description to this video. Hasta luego, adios, hasta la vista. See you next time.